The scene is brought to you by Opticians, Malta Art Festival, Segway Malta.
Good evening and welcome to The Scene, the only show in Malta to bring you the best of Malta. What's on, where to go, what to do and where to be seen.
Each week we're going to be bringing you the best venues, the most exciting events and looking at what's coming up in the next 7 days. From festas to festivals, gigs to galleries and clubs to concerts.
We'll also be taking a look at some of the most exclusive locations in Malta, whether you're an islander or just visiting.
And we'll also be looking at some of the activities you can get up to in Malta, from the obvious to the more obscure.
And finally, we'll be giving you an insider's guide to everything Maltese and how to make the most of the Maltese islands.
So if you're looking to get the best out of your summer, this is the place to be seen.
Great show.
Today we are right at the top of Malta, at the north end, just past Mellieha, and we're here for a bit of an adventure.
Woohoo!
Today we are out on Segways. We're going to be going about having a look at what's here, what to get up to and what we can see, as well as trying to stay upright.
Indeed, and alive. Now, I've actually wanted to go on a Segway for ages. Just give you a brief introduction. It's 2 wheels, a platform and a stick, and it automatically balances itself through the miracle of computers, and you have to lean forward to go forward. I'm a bit worried about it.
Oh my word, it sounds a bit complicated. Luckily, we have Jean on hand to show us how to do it.
So what we'll do, we'll start with all the basics of how to use the Segway, so then we'll have a bit of practice on beginner's mode over here, okay? So to start with, mind your feet, I'm going to explain how to get on and off the Segway. The trick is to always leave the joystick straight, because as soon as you pull it to either side, it starts turning. So to get on and off, you hold it from the middle, keeping it straight, and you go up normally as if you're going up a normal step. Once you're up, the balance is automatic, so you don't have to do anything for balance. With the arms, it's important to keep them as relaxed as possible, and it's just a sideways movement just to move left and right. Okay? Now to move forward and to stop, it's done with the body weight. So the Segway is really responsive, so as soon as you start leaning forward, body weight on the toes, it starts moving. To stop, you just lean back on the heels. Once you stopped, if you keep leaning back, you move in reverse as well. So to stop from reversing, obviously you have to lean forward again.
I have a question, Sean. Is it safe?
It is. That's like all motorized vehicles. Obviously, the easiest way to fall would be to crash into something. So the idea is to always keep enough space from each other, obviously, from any walls or any potholes, for example, that are deep. Apart from that, you shouldn't have any problem, and it's really difficult to fall off one.
And can anybody do it?
They can, yes, as long as they can walk unaided, they can use it, starting from 14 years old, and the oldest guy we had was 89 years old, and he enjoyed it a lot, so yeah, anyone can do it.
Okay, how about I give it a go?
Of course. So what we'll do, to start with, we'll start on beginner's mode. The idea of the beginner's mode, it makes it more stable, okay, till you get used to the controls. That's it, and start leaning gently forward on the toes now.
Go.
We're joined by Sean Bahaja, who is the producer of Faith, Hope, You Charity, which is the play that's running at the moment for 8 nights at St Elmo, that is for the Malta International Arts Festival. Thank you very, very much for coming and talking to us. First up, the play is set in the Second World War, is that right? What's it all about?
Okay, so we have 4 nights to go because we had a very successful first run. The play is about, as you said, it's about the times of the war, but Faith, Hope, or Charity are the 3 names of 3 gladiator planes, and legend has it that these 3 planes protected Malta from the Aeronautica Italiana, and they were old planes, so people were skeptical to use them, but they were very successful because they were very fast. Now it's inspired by that story, but then we created a whole romance, which is based on true story, but obviously the author took some artistic license to make it as romantic as possible. But it's the story of a pilot who flew one of the planes, Faith, which actually is the plane which remained not destroyed. And another pilot, which is an Italian pilot, and a Maltese nurse. It's a beautiful love story, but it really shows what happened in Malta during the war. It's inspired by what the Maltese felt during the war, how the English reacted to the war. So it's an epic.
Sounds great, Sean. You're doing the play down at Fort St Elmo. I live just round the corner. And obviously with the subject matter of the play, how important to you was it to show it at Fort St Elmo? Was that a key part of this production?
Yes. I mean, choosing Fort St Elmo was crucial for us. We already worked there last year. We had a production called Capellan of Malta by Nicolas Montserrat.
Yes.
We adapted it, and it really worked there. We loved the place. This year we decided to commission the author for the venue. So it's an original work which was written with St. Elmo in mind. St. Elmo obviously is, the moment you get in there, war times.
It's incredible.
It's very inspiring as a place. Obviously it has its challenges because it's a very huge open space, but the backdrop is worth all the energy and sweat needed to produce this.
Fort St Elmo's recently been refurbished. How difficult for you was it, not just really to set up there, but to arrange and design a play in such an old part of Valletta, such an old architecture, if you like?
Respecting the place was a priority for us, so every decision we made in conjunction with Heritage Malta, who run the place at the moment. It's also a museum, so I had to respect that part of it, that in the morning people come. But it's also fun to watch a set being built, and we had stunts rigged up, we had special effects rigged up.
Sounds amazing.
Wow.
So I'm telling you, Heritage Malta were very helpful, and they really helped the show become the spectacle it is.
Great.
How brilliant. I mean, we happen to know some of the actors that you have. David Tucci, we've actually interviewed on the show, yeah. And the play is actually in Maltese, which makes sense, which is why it's Faith, Hope, You Charity rather than And Charity. How relevant is it to someone like myself whose understanding of Maltese is not the best?
It's rubbish.
No, it's not. It's good. It's good. It's just not the best in the world.
Well, Stagiun Teatro Malti, which is the company that is producing the play, its ethos is original works in Maltese, because we felt there was a lacuna in that field, and we want to produce such work. But performance, if you love theater, performance tends to transcend language sometimes. So if you want the visuals, if you want the stunts, if you want to get a feel of the story, it will still work. Obviously, there's the language barrier, but I've seen performances with languages I don't understand, and I enjoyed some of them, not all of them. But it's a risk, but one could enjoy it, especially if one loves nostalgia, loves the wartime, or remembers the stuff. He might remember the uniform, and that could mean a lot to him.
Absolutely.
So it actually depends on how much you love the theme, how much you love theater, and then it's up to you.
I mean, I personally, I really want to see it. I'm sure
Yeah,
you do too.
absolutely, yeah.
And it's running on for another 4 nights.
Yes, it's on Wednesday again, and then we close off on Sunday.
And how would one get tickets? How can they come along?
Well,
At the door or online or?
Both. So we have tickets at the door, online from the Teatro Manuel website.
Yes.
Teatro Manuel is a co-producer with us. And we also have a booking office at Teatro Manuel and at Piazza Teatro Real, which is the old opera house.
Fantastic.
And in the meantime, if we want to have a little look, we're going to have a quick look at a clip to show you what it's all about.
Niftakru sewwa dak iż-żmien. Żmien il-gwerra, żmien il-ġuħ, id-disperazzjoni, il-mewt. Żmien ukoll l-imħabba. Kollox beda meta fuq xtutna il-forzi navali Ingliżi ħallew 4 kaxex kbar. Fihom kien hemm faith, hope u charity.
It looks amazing. I don't know about you, I really want to go.
Excited to see it.
Absolutely. Thank you ever so much indeed.
Thanks for having me.
Wishing you all the very, very best now for the last few nights. See you there. In the meantime, back on the Segways and off we go.
Hi, Susan. How are you? Pleasure to meet you.
Hello.
So we're exploring
welcome.
the north of Malta, and we've stopped off here at Agathas Tower, also known as the Red Tower, for quite obvious reasons. And we're going to speak to Susan Monpalau de Piero about the tower and what it's doing here, and really such an exciting, awesome place. Susan, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for welcoming us to the Red Tower. Firstly, this is a tower and not a redoute, right?
Yes, that's right. This is a watchtower.
Yes.
This is one of a whole system of watchtowers which covered the whole of Malta, all around the coastal area, which were put there in order to watch out for the enemy coming by sea.
I see.
By sea. They used to come in here straight into Mellieha Bay, and they'd just disembark, take all the crops, help
Yes.
themselves to water, help themselves to a few peasants and a few beautiful young girls to take off into slavery and disappear before anybody noticed.
Unbelievable. So the watchtowers are here to look out for incoming danger.
Yes.
What's the difference between a watchtower and a redoute then?
Well, a redoute was something very much smaller right down on the coast.
Right.
Where if there were actual battles or if there was some kind of danger, the soldiers could withdraw behind it. It was a hiding place, a place they withdrew to, and where they could have ammunition stored maybe, but it would be fortified to a low degree. It wouldn't be visible from the enemy's side.
Right.
Whereas this, partly we think maybe because that may be why it's red, this is definitely very visible. We are here waiting for you
Yes.
guys. Think again.
Come and take us. It
Yes.
sounds amazing. Maybe we should go in and
Yes,
have
come
a
in,
look.
please.
Thank you very much.
Susan, we're now on the inside of the tower, having a look around here. I have a question for you. Why is the tower red?
Well, this is something we don't know the answer to. It's always referred to as the Red Tower, even in the oldest documents we have about it.
Wow, okay.
But as far as I know of two theories which could be equally right.
Okay.
One is red is always a symbol of danger.
Okay.
And this tower is definitely a warning to anybody coming on ships by sea.
Right.
We are waiting for you, we can see you, because you can see this tower from very far away.
Okay.
It's very visible.
Right.
against the skyline.
So it's
And that is
ward people
intentional,
off, okay.
definitely. So it could be that. But there's no other red tower in Malta. They used to paint their houses that colour. A lot of palazzi in Valletta were painted this colour at various times. But then there's another theory which is completely on the other side, which is that in some places there's a habit of painting places with ordinary paint, with ordinary chalk paint, but using the earth from the surrounding fields to make it more inconspicuous.
Wow.
Now that is also a theory. I don't believe in it, but it's a possibility because we just don't know.
And the soil
where-
around here is particularly red.
It is very good earth,
Okay,
yes, nice
okay.
red earth, but not exactly the same tone.
Sure.
Yes.
I guess the other question is then, if it's known as the Red Tower, it's also known as St. Agathas Tower.
Yes.
Who was St. Agatha and how does she relate to the tower?
Well, St. Agatha was a saint who came from Sicily in the 3rd century AD. She was a young girl of very good family, and the local Roman governor wanted to marry her,
Okay.
as he put it, and she was a very virtuous maiden and a Christian, and she didn't want to have anything to do with this Roman. And he tortured her, he cut her breasts off, but miraculously they were healed. He laid her down on burning coals, but when she got up, there was nothing wrong with her. She recovered immediately. And the place where the burning coals had been, there was a fire and an earthquake, and everybody, there was a miracle, as much of a miracle as you could hope to have in those days. And at one stage, apparently, she escaped, they say, to Malta.
Okay.
And hid in Rabat, in the catacombs,
In
which
the
are
catacombs,
dedicated
yes.
to her, yes.
Amazing. So he wanted to marry her, she said no, so he tortured her.
Yes, yes.
Excellent. I'm glad we don't have that anymore.
No.
And I guess the last thing is there any particular special features about this tower? Is it apart from the colour, or does it just fit in within the watchtower system? Is there anything particular about this one?
Well, I did mention earlier that it was built in a very, very short time span. In 2 years, they built this whole place. Now, can you imagine that being possible nowadays? That you decide, I'm going to build a tower here. You make out plans. You ask the government, please, may we speak to MEPA, speak to Dinlar Telwa for that matter.
Just not going to
No
happen.
way would you manage it in 2 years.
It's pretty
yes.
amazing. Listen, thank you very much. We're going to go and have a little look downstairs and discuss
Yes.
a little bit more down there. Thank
Fine.
you.
Susan, thank you so much for showing us around this awesome tower. Is it open to visitors? People can come and have a look at the place and view it just like we have today?
Yes, of course. It's open every day of the year except Christmas and Easter Sunday.
Wow, okay,
Yes.
so very
Always
accessible.
manned by volunteers, people who enjoy being here, who love the place and love to show it to people, to visitors.
Fantastic. And talking of volunteers, you're of course a volunteer with
Yes.
Dinlar Telwa.
Yes.
What is Dinlar Telwa?
Well, Dinlar Telwa is one of the oldest heritage societies in Malta. It's an association of people who want to preserve our heritage, both our built heritage and our countryside. That means we just as much want to preserve the trees and the Maestral Park, for example, which
Yes,
is one of our
course.
projects, and the Foresta 2000, which is the hillside which is wooded right down to the bird sanctuary here. All of that is looked after by Dinlar Telwa.
Fantastic.
In
So
fact, Dinlar Telwa is the first line of our national anthem.
oh, fantastic.
And it means this sweet earth. So
Absolutely.
it's showing how much we love our country.
Absolutely. And so Dinlar Telwa are like a national organisation for looking after the heritage and the buildings
Yes,
and parts
yes.
of Malta. Susan,
The
it's been
National Trust, in
like
fact.
a national trust,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes.
Yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much again for showing us around the tower.
Well, thank you for coming.
We
It
have
was
to get on the
wonderful.
road.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ciao.
here, there's actually 3 campsites. One over there by the chapel, and then 2 on the left-hand side of the road. A little-known secret by the locals. Actually, they have the most incredible views of Adira Bay and also some of the best night skies in Malta.
Absolutely. Now, camping might not be your thing, but I think it's still worth coming here and having an explore. There's all sorts. Hidden beaches, sheltered swimming, World War II beach posts, and as Trudy said, incredible views. You can even come in winter, bring yourself a picnic, some walking boots, or like us, do it in style with a Segway. Now, you can't go far in Malta without coming across a church. From huge cathedrals to tiny chapels. And here at Lahrax Point is a great example with the Chapel of the Immaculate Conception.
The Madonna statue and accompanying chapel were built in 1870, and legend has it by a fisherman who managed to survive his boat being capsized.
Nice!
But at one point it was thought that the chapel was going to actually collapse. So, in 1961, they built it all again.
Very good. It's actually a really idyllic spot up here, away from town, and a taste of countryside in Malta. Lots of people actually come here for picnics, which I haven't been on a picnic in years, Trudy.
Oh, lovely. For anybody who's not seen Stomp before, what can we expect?
Yeah, this is the $1 million question. Stomp, to me, I mean, my definition of it, I always look upon Stomp as being like a celebration of life through rhythm. It's 8 individual characters. When people watch the show, it's sometimes down to them who they choose to follow character-wise.
Wow.
And the interaction and kind of one-upmanship between characters, and the idea of finding props, seeing what sounds can be made out of them, and creating music from it.
From what I understand as well, you use very much everyday objects, including
The kitchen sink.
Including the kitchen sink, but also including shopping trolleys, is that right?
Yes, that's a fairly new addition to us. But again, these are things, the props we use, I mean, like with the kitchen sink thing, for long enough when we first started, people would say, oh, they use everything but the kitchen sink. So, I mean, as you can see in our set, we used to have a kitchen sink up there because we thought, well, we've got to have a sink. And then we took it another level and we actually, 4 of us, chain sinks onto us. And then people read a kind of metaphor and says, oh, look, it's the guys chained to the kitchen sink rather than the women, breaking down social and moral taboos or whatever. So there's a lot of the time people watch Stomp and see elements that aren't actually deliberately put there by us. So that's the beauty of it. People can interpret their own thing from it. Fantastic. And I think that's why people enjoy repeatedly coming back and seeing the show.
So I've got to ask you, it's such an innovative concept. First up, how long has Stomp been going? And second up, whose idea was it? Because it's really a crazy, crazy idea.
The show, we first did the show at Edinburgh Festival in 1991.
Wow.
That's 24 years.
Okay.
And basically the idea of the show comes, I mean, the 2 creators of the show were in a busking band. I don't know if folk know the concept of busking here, like playing in the streets. Now, Luke, who's one of the directors and creators, rather than carrying a drum kit around, which is a cumbersome thing at the best of times, he would just play literally whatever was around him, be it that or a door or whatever. He'd just have his sticks and just play on that. So then there was the idea of like, well, use a dustbin, and they had a dustbin routine. So that was in the essence of their act and the street act. And then the challenge was to, can we do a theatre show that's all rhythmic or using rhythm as a narrative and see if that would work in theatre.
And now Stomp is all over the world, is that right?
It's 5 companies. There's one in New York. It's been there now for 20 years.
Gosh.
Yeah, and it's running in the same theatre. 20 years.
So we're really lucky to have you in Malta this weekend.
Well, I think we're equally lucky to be here. I love it here. No, it's always, and another thing for this company, about 80% of them have never done Stomp outdoors, and it's always a different feel.
So normally it's inside, and here in Malta at the Piazza Reale, it's actually outdoors.
We are in yes. Well, it's the old opera house, isn't it?
Yes,
and
it
was
is.
bombed.
Absolutely, it was bombed, and now we're using it for theatre.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
And that feels. It really does feel different.
It does feel different. I mean, there's things that there's certain intimacy in the theatre that you kind of slightly lose here because there's more distractions, obviously, just with the wind and the elements or whatever. But I think it equally has its benefits. So it's a good experience for everyone to do.
Brilliant.
So we're very happy to be here.
So if anybody's listening to this and wondering to themselves, should I go? What's the answer to that?
Yes, you definitely should, and come with open eyes and open ears. Really, I mean, as I say, it's Stomp. There's a lot of comedy in it as well. There's comedy, there's dance, there's music, and there's theatre. All those elements kind of rolled into one without a word of dialogue. You can be 8 years old, you can be 98, you still get the same things from it.
We've had an absolute fantastic day today. Yes. But before we go, of course, we're going to tell you what's coming up this week. And oh my goodness, it's a big one.
It is. You heard it earlier in the show tonight. The epic play Faith, Hope, Ooh Charity playing at Fort St Elmo. It's on selected nights and is an absolute do not miss.
Absolutely, but of course you can't miss this one either. It is the Farsons Beer Festival at the moment, one of Malta's biggest music festivals, and it's already underway and it's running for 10 days. You've got Era Losco, we've got the Riffs, New Victorians, Voyage, Red Electric, but tonight is headlining and the biggest show, Tribali.
Yes, there's just a few nights left of Romeo and Juliet, the open air edition by MADC. It's running until Friday the 31st at the San Anton Gardens. Beautiful performance in a stunning setting. Costumes are traditional with a bit of a twist. Juliet's tragedy is mirrored in the past, present and future, and it really is a love story. What's really happening between Shakespeare's lines? Nothing could really make you feel more summery than this amazing experience.
It's midweek at premiere nights by the Versatile Brass. There's a regular feature at Aria nightclub in San Juan. Treat yourself to a totally memorable evening with this brilliant band entertaining the traditional folk music from 8 p.m. until midnight. The night has a wonderful combination of music and a full buffet meal if you want it.
Awesome. And on Wednesday is Rooftop Live sessions at Jampula with Trackage Scheme. They've teamed up with the Rooftop to give you a series of exciting and innovative nights this summer at the Jampula complex in Rabat, showcasing Malta's finest musical talent both on stage as well as behind the decks. Each event will boast a different headlining act, alternative band, and everything set to take you on an eclectic musical journey at this beautiful outdoor location.
Paul, the next one up for is one I think is probably more up your alley.
Yeah?
It is Pro Wrestling Malta on Friday night, called The Beginning. It's going to be a one-kind of event, and it'll feature athletes from all over the world, from Malta, but also from the USA, from England, Wales, Mexico, and much more. Be sure not to miss one of these biggest events of the summer for sports. Live entertainment for the whole family at Monte Cristo.
Fantastic. So there's a few things for your diary for the coming days.
That's all from us in this show, but it will be back later in the week. And of course, if you want to find out what's on or find out what we're up to, go onto our Facebook page, facebook.com/.com, The Scene in Malta.
That's it. You can find us on YouTube by searching Brave Media Malta, but do go onto the Facebook. Don't forget to enter our competition, Trudy?
Oh, of course.
Send us a selfie of you looking cool or staying cool in the summer heat for your chance to win. Make the most of your week. Until next time, ciao.
The Scene is brought to you by Optica Opticians, Malta Art Festival, Segway Malta.